meditation is supposed to be fun. It's not something you do as a grim duty. The trouble with religion as we know it is that it is so mixed up with grim duties. We do it because it's good for you. It's a kind of self-punishment. Well, meditation, when correctly done, has nothing to do with all that. It's a kind of digging the present. It's a kind of grooving with the eternal now. And brings us into a state of peace where we can understand that the point of life, the place where it's at, is simply here and now.
This moment is the creation of the universe. It's starting now. If you look back and wonder whether there was a Big Bang a long time ago, all you'll see is vanishing traces. The Big Bang is happening now. This is when the world begins. You're doing it. Only you're not doing it by straining. A you deeper than the straining you is doing all this. The same you that is growing your hair and coloring your eyes and making your thumbprints and all that. You don't think about it. You don't strain muscles to do it. But that is what is creating the world. Here it comes. Now. So instead of thinking that the past is the reality which explains everything that happens now, let's look at now.
RadioStyle. Hope every one of you guys out there are doing amazing. And welcome again to the Law of One. We're doing sessions 71 and 72. I don't know why it's not doing full screen. Is that what I got to do? There you go. That's what I got to do. That's what I got to do, people. All said. We've got a great show put together. 71, 72. Doing both of those. It's funny, is I need to do a manifesting video now on this. I don't know if you guys know Dan RadioStyle on YouTube is me, and I talk about manifesting. I got a whole bunch of stuff, and one of the things that always really didn't confuse me, I kind of figured it was this, but it's just like in my face right now, like a boogeyman. I was like, man, I got to talk about this. Is the difference between service to self and service to others, the way you would manifest. And it was just like, these two sessions to me like broke that down. I was like, if that was the one thing that I get out of this entire series, Teach Learning and Learn Teaching with you guys, then that would probably be awesome just right there. I hope there's more, and I think there's more, and I'm pretty sure, but it's pretty powerful. So we're going to talk about unmanifested self in session 71. Unmanifested self and the metaphysical self is the other self they talk about. One's more of the physical-ish, space-time, time-space kind of concept. So a lot of that's going to be coming into play, and the way those two selves work. Unmanifested self, kind of going into it, sort of think higher self. It's kind of in the right realm. It could be a step above that, but I think it's mostly the higher self, the unmanifested self. The manifested self are the multiple bodies, and your rainbow body, and your light body, and your etheric body, and we got all these right. Keep all that out of it. It's the unmanifested part of you. It's that part that's like anchoring your home. Negativity versus positivity. There's some discussions in these two sessions for sure around those concepts. And again, they're interesting to a point. They don't necessarily, it really gets into what the service to self people are doing within our society, within our politics, stuff like that. And it is interesting how they operate. And this does kind of get into some of the karmic boundaries, not all of them. They cover them really well from the service to others side, but from the service to self side, they tap dance on it a little bit. And I thought that was interesting. It's like, so they're different, it seems. If they are truly doing their path properly, they seem to be able to get away with some interesting stuff. That's all I can say. Again, manifesting we talk about, and also I put broadcasting. I think it has to do with what we send out, likely our thoughts, our words, our deeds, which ties into manifesting. I don't know. We'll see what I meant by that. But this is going to be session 71. We are going to have some of you guys invited. Well, I'm just going to put the link out in chat. So for those of you that are a part of this, if you want to hang out for a few, 20, 30 minutes after, questions, any fun stuff, we'll see. But after the show, we do a thing where I'll share the link in StreamYard in the comments, or the chat section, I should say, the live chat. And people that want to join can join. And those that don't, well, it's obviously that's an easy choice, right? Don't click the link. Don't be a part of it. All said, we are going to kick off this next part here with this session 71. I think you guys are going to, I don't know. We'll see what you guys think. We're going to have some questions. Obviously, if you have a question, put question, colon, and then put the question. It just makes it easier to find. I've got a lovely lady, A-Score, helping me out. Thank you, A-Score. You're the best in the world. This just, it makes it significantly easier the way we handle this situation. So love you guys. Thank you for being a part of this with us. And here is session 71, Law of One. And I'll certainly have my thoughts about it. And we'll see what questions maybe pop up. All said, love you guys. Here we go. Law of One, session 71 on the Fringe. Law of One, session 71, recorded September 18th, 1981. Ra. I am Ra. I greet you in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. We communicate now. Questioner, could you first please give me the condition of the instrument? Ra. I am Ra. It is as previously stated, with the exception of a slight improvement in the vital energy distortions. One may note to support group, without infringement, that it is well to aid the instrument in the reminders that while physical complex distortions remain as they are, it is not advisable to use the increased vital energies for physical complex activities, as this will take a somewhat harsh toll. Questioner, I have several different questions. In this session, I hope to establish, by searching around with several different types of questions, a point of entry into an investigation that will be fruitful. I would first ask, is it possible to increase polarity without increasing harvestability? Ra. I am Ra. The connection between polarization and harvestability is most important in third density harvest. In this density, an increase in the serving of others or the serving of self will almost inevitably increase the ability of an entity to enjoy a higher intensity of light. Thus, in this density, we may say, it is hardly possible to polarize without increasing in harvestability. Questioner, this would probably be possible in the higher densities, such as the fifth density. Is this correct? Ra. I am Ra. In fifth density harvest, polarization has very little to do with harvestability. Questioner, would you explain the concept of working with the unmanifested being in third density to create the evolution? Ra. I am Ra. This is a many-layered question in which stria we wish to expose as questionable. Please restate giving any further depth of information requested, if possible. Questioner, define, please, the unmanifested being. Ra. I am Ra. We may see that you wish to pursue the deeper stratum of information. We shall, therefore, answer in a certain way which does not exhaust the query, but is designed to move beneath the outer teachings somewhat. The unmanifested being is, as we have said, that being which exists and does its work without reference to or aid from other selves. To move into this concept, you may see the inevitable connection between the unmanifested self and the metaphysical or time-space analog of the space-time self. The activities of meditation, contemplation, and what may be called the internal balancing of thoughts and reactions are those activities of the unmanifested self, more closely aligned with the metaphysical self. Questioner, as an entity goes through the death process in third density and finds itself in time-space, it finds itself in a different set of circumstances. Would you please describe the properties or circumstances of time-space and then the process of healing of incarnative experiences that some entities encounter. Ra. I am Ra. Although this query is difficult to answer adequately due to the limitations of your space-time sound vibration complexes, we shall respond to the best of our abilities. The hallmark of time-space is the inequity between time and space. In your space-time, the spatial orientation of material causes a tangible framework for illusion. In time-space, the inequity is upon the shoulders of that property known to you as time. This property renders entities and experiences intangible in a relative sense. In your framework, each particle or core vibration moves at a velocity which approaches what you call the speed of light from the direction of supraluminal velocities. Thus, the time-space or metaphysical experience is that which is very finely tuned and, although an analog of space-time, lacking in its tangible characteristic. In these metaphysical planes, there is a great deal of what you call time, which is used to review and re-review the biases and learned teachings of a prior, as you would call it, space-time incarnation. The extreme fluidity of these regions makes it possible for much to be penetrated, which must needs be absorbed before the process of healing of an entity may be accomplished. Each entity is located in a somewhat immobile state, much as you are located in a space-time in a somewhat immobile state in time. In this immobile space, the entity has been placed by the form maker and higher self, so that it may be in the proper configuration for learned teaching, that which it has received in the space-time incarnation. Depending upon this time-space locus, there will be certain helpers which assist in this healing process. The process involves seeing in full the experience, seeing it against the backdrop of the mind-body-spirit complex total experience, forgiving the self for all missteps as regards the missed guideposts during the incarnation, and, finally, the careful assessment of the next necessities for learning. This is done entirely by the higher self until an entity has become conscious in space-time of the process and the means of spiritual evolution, at which time the entity will consciously take part in all decisions. Questioner: is the process in positive time-space identical with the process in negative time-space for this healing? Ra. I am Ra. The process in space-time of forgiveness and acceptance is much like that in time-space in that the qualities of the process are analogous. However, while in space-time it is not possible to determine the course of events beyond the incarnation, but only to correct present imbalances. In time-space, upon the other hand, it is not possible to correct any unbalanced actions, but rather to perceive the imbalances and thusly forgive the self for that which it is. The decisions then are made to set up the probabilities of correcting these imbalances in what you call future space-time experiences. The advantage of time-space is that of the fluidity of the grand overview. The advantage of space-time is that, working in darkness with a tiny candle, one may correct imbalances. Questioner: if an entity has chosen the negative polarization, are the process of healing and review similar for the negative path? Ra. I am Ra. This is correct. Questioner: are the process that we are talking about process that occur on many planets in our Milky Way galaxy, or do they occur on all planets, or what percentage? Ra. I am Ra. These processes occur upon all planets which have given birth to sub-logoi such as yourselves. The percentage of inhabited planets is approximately 10%. Questioner: what percentage of stars, roughly, have planetary systems? Ra. I am Ra. This is unimportant information, but harmless. Approximately 32% of stars have planets as you know them, while another 6% have some sort of clustering material which upon some densities might be inhabitable. Questioner: Well, this would tell me that roughly 3% of all stars have inhabited planets, which would just give a, shall I say, mind-boggling idea of the number of entities which I assume then this process of evolution is in use throughout the known universe. Is this correct? Ra. I am Ra. This octave of infinite knowledge of the one creator is as it is throughout the one infinite creation, with variations programmed by sub-logoi of what you call major galaxies and minor galaxies. These variations are not significant, but may be compared to various regions of geographical location sporting various ways of pronouncing the same sound vibration complex or concept. Questioner. Then it seems to me from this that the sub-logos, such as our sun, uses free will to modify only slightly a much more general idea of created evolution, so that the general plan of created evolution, which seems then to be uniform throughout the one infinite creation, is for this process of the sub-logoi to grow through the densities and, under the first distortion, find their way back to the original thought. Is this correct? Ra. I am Ra. This is correct. Questioner. Then each entity is on a path that leads to one destination. This is like many, many roads which travel through many, many places, but eventually merge into one large center. Is this correct? Ra. I am Ra. This is correct, but somewhat wanting in depth of description. More applicable would be the thought that each entity contains within it all of the densities and subdensities of the octave, so that in each entity, no matter whither its choices lead it, its great internal blueprint is one with all others. Thusly, its experiences will fall into the pattern of the journey back to the original logos. This is done through free will, but the materials from which choices can be made are one blueprint. Questioner. You have made the statement that pure negativity acts as a gravity well, pulling all into it. I was wondering first if pure positivity has precisely the same effect. Could you answer that, please? Ra. I am Ra. This is incorrect. Positivity has a much weaker effect due to the strong element of recognition of free will in any positivity approaching purity. Thus, although the negatively oriented entity may find it difficult to polarize negatively in the midst of such resounding harmony, it will not find it impossible. Upon the other hand, the negative polarization is one which does not accept the concept of the free will of other selves. Thusly, in a social complex whose negativity approaches purity, the pull upon other selves is constant. A positively oriented entity in such a situation would desire for other selves to have their free will, and thusly would find itself removed from its ability to exercise its own free will, for the free will of negatively oriented entities is bent upon conquest. Questioner. Could you please comment on the accuracy of this statement? I am going to generally talk about the concept of magic, and first define it as the ability to create changes in consciousness at will. Is this an acceptable definition? Ra. I am Ra. This definition is acceptable in that it places upon the adept the burden it shall bear. It may be better understood by referring back to an earlier query in your measurement, within this working having to do with the unmanifested self. In magic, one is working with one's unmanifested self in body, in mind, and in spirit, the mixture depending upon the nature of the working. These workings are facilitated by the enhancement of the activation of the indigo ray energy center. The indigo ray energy center is fed, as are all energy centers, by experience, but far more than the others is fed by what we would call the disciplines of the personality. Questioner. I will state that the objective of a white magical ritual is to create a change in consciousness of a group. Is this correct? Ra. I am Ra. Not necessarily. It is possible for what you term white magic to be worked for the purpose of altering only the self or the place of working. This is done on the knowledge that to aid the self and polarization towards love and light is to aid the planetary vibration. Questioner. The change in consciousness should result in a greater distortion towards service to others, towards unity with all, and towards knowing in order to serve. Is this correct? And are there any other desired results? Ra. I am Ra. These are commendable phrases. The heart of white magic is the experience of the joy of union with its creator. This joy will, of necessity, radiate throughout the life experience of the positive adept. It is for this reason that sexual magic is not restricted solely to the negatively oriented polarizing adepts, but, when most carefully used, has its place in high magic as it, when correctly pursued, joins body, mind, and spirit with the one infinite creator. Any purpose which you may frame should, we suggest, take into consideration this basic union with the one infinite creator, for this union will result in service to others of necessity. Questioner. There are, shall I say, certain rules of white magic. I will read these few that I have written, and I would like for you to comment on the philosophical basis or reasoning behind these, and add to this list any of importance that I have neglected. First, a special place of working, preferably constructed by the practitioners. Second, a signal or key, such as a ring to summon the magical personality. Third, special clothing worn only for the workings. Fourth, a specific time of day. Fifth, a series of ritual sound vibratory complexes designed to create the desired mental distortion. Sixth, a group objective for each session. Would you comment on this list, please? Ra. I am Ra. To comment upon this list is to play the mechanic which views the instruments of the orchestrated and adjusts and tunes the instruments. You will note these are mechanical details. The art does not lie herein. The one item of least import is what you call the time of day. This is important in those experiential nexi wherein the entities search for the metaphysical experience without conscious control over the search. The repetition of workings gives this search structure. In this particular group, the structure is available without the need for inevitable sameness of times of working. We may note that this regularity is always helpful. Questioner. You stated in a previous session that Ra searched for some time to find a group such as this one. I would assume that this search was for the purpose of communicating the law of one? Is this correct? Ra. I am Ra. This is partially correct. We also, as we have said, wish to attempt to make reparation for distortions of this law set in motion by our naive actions of your past. Questioner. Can you tell me if we have covered the necessary material to this point to, if published, make the necessary reparations for the naive actions? Ra. I am Ra. We mean no disrespect for your service, but we do not expect to make full reparations for these distortions. We may, however, offer our thoughts in the attempt. The attempt is far more important to us than the completeness of the result. The nature of your language is such that what is distorted cannot, to our knowledge, be fully undistorted, but only illuminated somewhat. Questioner. When you say you searched for this group, what do you mean? What was your process of search? I ask this question to understand more the illusion of time and space. Ra. I am Ra. Consider the process of one who sees the spectrograph of some complex of elements. It is a complex paint sample, let us say, for ease of description. We of Ra knew the needed elements for communication which had any chance of enduring. We compared our color chip to many individuals and groups over a long span of your time. Your spectrograph matches our sample. In response to your desire to see the relationship betwixt space-time and time-space, may we say that we conducted this search in time-space, for in this illusion one may quite readily see entities as vibratory complexes and groups as harmonics within vibratory complexes. Questioner. I see the most important product of this communication being a vehicle of partial enlightenment for those incarnate now who have become aware of their part in their own evolutionary process. Am I correct in this assumption? Ra, I am Ra. You are correct. We may note that this is the goal of all artifacts and experiences which entities may come into contact with, and is not only the property of Ra or this contact. We find that this instrument has neglected to continue to remind itself of the need for holding some portion of energy back for reserve. This is recommended as a portion of the inner program to be reinstated, as it will lengthen the number of workings we may have. This is acceptable to us. The transferred energy grows quite low. We must leave you shortly. Is there a brief query at this time? Questioner, is there anything we can do to improve the contact or make the instrument more comfortable? Ra, I am Ra. You are conscientious. Remain most fastidious about the alignments of the appurtenances. We thank you. I am Ra. I leave you in the love and in the glorious lights of the infinite Creator. Go forth, therefore, rejoicing in the power and in the peace of the one infinite Creator. Adonai. Appurtenances, but I didn't want to re-record it, so whatever the heck. Yes, on the Fringe, Dan Radio Style. This stuff is remarkably difficult to voice over, by the way. But that was session 71. A few things, and I got a couple questions. So a couple of the points I wanted to bring up. Polarity is the catalyst, period. Whether you're service to self, service to others. The fact that the world seems to be getting crazier is by design. The catalyst is everything, period. Some will still stay asleep, but most people won't. So that is one thing to kind of keep in mind. It's very important. Unmanifested versus metaphysical. It's kind of the difference between time, space, and space-time. So your metaphysical body is your sort of space-time body. That's the body we kind of are more conscious of, basically, in our reality right now. Now, when you connect to your higher self and stuff like that, that individual part of yourself is time-space. It's in a place where space isn't so much the issue as it is kind of the concept of thought and thinking about what happened, how did that play out, what could I have done different, like that couch quarterbacking kind of thing, right? Like that's really where that time-space is. And space-time's like you put your quarter in the game and you're playing it now. Like it's you. It's game on. It's live. It counts, right? There's no take-backs. You're like, I didn't mean it. And it's like, well, you said it, so yeah, too bad. Right? Like, so that's what kind of the difference is. You can go back and be like, all right, I want to try that again. I want to do that again. And in some cases, there's some of that suggest you'd have your Groundhog Day moment in some cases where you can do it over and over and over and finally get it right or truly learn it. Because sometimes we get fixated on weird things. And it's one of the many things people do or beings do. Souls, if you will. Let's see. Inequity of time and space. It was just cool the way they said that. I thought that was a very neat point. Now, I probably could spend an entire life trying to understand that concept. But when you think about the fact that time and space are truly not the same, they're very different things. Space is a concept of, moving around. But what are you moving relative to? Some would say time, right? How fast are you going? Well, doing 50 miles an hour. Well, 50 miles per hour, time. Or some of us are just like focused in the moment and we lose track of time, but we're still involved in the space. You see, it's a weird concept here versus, that more etheric time-space functionality where it's more like I'm kind of watching this. It's like almost like kind of watching YouTube, if you will. I don't want to take it like that, but then thinking about it, you're like, yeah, I could have done that differently. I could have, like that analysis part. Watch it from a few different angles. You're like, yeah. That I could have done that differently. That's kind of what that time-space aspect sort of is. Again, we're trying to understand it from a space-time component. It's very difficult to do. So please, let's not get too terribly lost on what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to give you a nudge in the right direction. Again, we could spend a lot of time just discussing what is that inequity of time and space. It's pretty fantastic. All right, a little weird thing I did here. Everything exists. If you can think it, it exists. Meaning, if there's some weird thought that pops in, like, ooh, this thing happens, maybe. Like, if you thought it and saw it, yeah, it totally happens. That's true. You got it. You nailed it. And if something doesn't exist and you actually spend time thinking about it, meaning you have this concept, and I don't want to be specific because it's for a lot of reasons, because it's just my own like things I'm trying to stop, and by talking about it, you can't make it stop. Great example: American Cancer Society. If cancer was actually cured, they would go out of business. Ergo, they don't really want cancer to be cured. I'm not saying they're trying to stop it, not trying to say they're doing anything nefarious. I'm just saying it would be bad for business if cancer were to go bye-bye, if you're the American Cancer Society. So there's these concepts where if you think it and continue to think it, you sort of keep it alive. There's people that have spent their whole lives trying to protect children, but the very nature of the children needing protection creates an existence for them. So therefore, it needs to continue to happen. It doesn't have to be the case with all of us. And that's kind of what's important to understand more than anything is like 95% of your experience, 95% of your experience is your understanding and creation and thought process. You go in and out of other people's lives, you catch them on good, bad days, whatever, but that's all, a lot of that's dependent upon the energy you're bringing with you, the energy you're asking, the catalyst you need to get to that next step. And so many of us don't see that. Dude, life shows you. It's awesome. It's awesome. And it's when you finally start to notice it and pay attention, it transforms your life. And there's levels to it. And that was one of the things I kind of wanted to bring up, but maybe I will later. We'll see. But it's that understanding that, oh, my thoughts seem to matter versus like I realize, that my thoughts actually hold to a larger rule and seems to manifest on a larger scale. Seems to. Coincidence, I'm sure. But as you gain more, with more power comes greater responsibility. And that's really what it comes down to, is as we evolve, we become, I guess, more responsible, if you will. I wrote this funny, like positivity sucks, which is just, it's the difference between positive and negative. So positivity is kind of weak sauce is what they said, but it's good because it's how we get through it as a service to others individual, right? But a service to self person could be surrounded by the happiest people and they'd still be like, I'm going to get, with a smile on their face, be like, I hate every one of these people. And that's right. And it's okay. And wish weird things on you, right? Like they can find that place for them within that moment. Now, us as positive people, if we were stuck in 100% service to self environment, we would have to become service to self oriented, or else we would become others be arches, So that's, you have to. You would have to succumb to the way it is because that's how it is. Again, I think they talk more about this coming up in the next one. And then I did mention the broadcasting thing. It's our frequency. It's what we say. It's what we do, what we send out. If we're making claims about ourselves, I'm this, I'm that, I'm all this, and you're running around telling people that, you're opening yourself up to a lot of things. I don't recommend it. You can be a lot of things. You don't have to say it. It's the ego that wants you to say it and wants you to announce it to everybody else. Just be it. There's an adage that goes, if you have to tell people something is true, then it's probably because it's not very true, or you're not very good at demonstrating it. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. It's not really an adage. I kind of made it up, but there's that concept, right? If you have to tell somebody something because they don't see it, obviously, then is it really there? I mean, you claim it, just be it, just do it. All right, all that. I think we got a couple questions, and then we're going to kick off 72. Patriot Daryl had a question. Are there certain planets associated with specific density development? Do we choose which ones we go to? Yes and yes, to a degree. Now, the choosing is not necessarily from like the conscious where we are here at the moment, but it is conscious when you're like your higher self basically is like, well, here's the choices we've got, and this one's more suited for this. It's so much like a video game. Like a lot of us have played video games where you're like, I could be this race and this sex or this animal or this like, and there's different little distinguishing things that you get from it like benefits, if you will. So yeah, there's places where we would look and be like, well, I want to get some development over here. They have this crazier, more mind thing going on, or I supposedly I think the dolphins are tied to the Syrians or something like that. So maybe that would be a planet you would go and try to get a little of that kind of vibe going on. Again, there's a lot of fun avenues you can go down around that, and I do think we choose to a degree. Maggie, well, I think we choose 100%. Think we choose, not to a degree, 100%. Maggie said, question, what are your thoughts on what has recently happened with the sun? I've been talking a lot about the sun. I think our solar system is going through a unique part of the galaxy. I think we are right now, our magnetic field is weakening very quickly on this planet, very quickly. And the poles are moving already very much, a lot, like many, many, many kilometers a year. Many. It's not just like, oh, it's going to take forever. This started supposedly around 1840, 1850. And many suggest that it could take 150 to 200 years. We are at the tail end of that number. We are seeing actual movements happening. The sun is doing very weird things right now as well. There is supposedly something that's been sent from the central galactic sheet, if you will, that's creating these wave motion things, and they are impacting our planet in a way that is causing change. And there is supposed to be change, and certain frequencies, if they can't evolve, won't really make it. And I don't know what the self-destruct exactly ends up being, but I think we're starting to see examples of it play out. So for those that aren't going to make it, and I will say this one thing that too is like if you, this will sound kind of weird, but it's true. Like if there's a person in your life, say for example, and you like literally turn your back on them and never ever see them again, like literally just go in a different direction, and they don't want to come with you, they don't care, like, you know what I mean? Like you're not pissing anyone off in this place, right? Like you just like, I don't want to do that anymore. I can't take that energy. They literally don't exist anymore in your world. So again, how this separation occurs, I think is going to play out very interestingly. And I think it can be very different depending on who and what we are. So I feel like I was just tripping there. That's awesome. Yes, I think I covered it. The sun's going crazy. We've got a good example, and we've got the same solar flare spots that shot us 3 times in a row pretty much recently. Those are about to spin back around. I think the sun spins around like every 7 or 14 days or something like that. It's like pretty quick. Anyway, so we're getting those sunspots are back around again, and we just had some solar wind hit us. So we got all sorts of fun stuff going on with the sun. That's a fun one. That's a fun one. Needless to say, we'll talk more about that. But here we got session 72 here to keep on track. Banning ritual they talk about. I want to quickly share real quickly. I've talked a bit about this thing that messes with me at night. And I've tried a lot of different approaches with this thing. Now, again, it scares me, but I know it's okay. Like, I know I'm okay, like always. Like, so it's not, it's bugs me because it's able to scare me. And I'm like, I send it love and I do weird shit just to mess with it. And it doesn't help really, but it's fun to do. And anyway, so it's a little game we play. Needless to say, I finally figured out how to gird my loins, if you will. I tried also, I have the armor of God. I tried declaring a lot of things. I don't want to say because it'll mess with people. Ultimately, what I did is I put a bubble around myself of Christ's white light, Christ's golden white light. And I extended it past my bed. And when I did that, and it's odd because depending on how far I moved it out from myself was the loudness of the noise it would make. Sometimes it do is right by my ear. It's just this weird, like it sounds like someone's just swinging like a feather through the air really loud, like just vibrating, that weird cavitation and air effect. And it's just loud. And it'll freak me out because it'll be right out of nowhere. And it'll do it right next to my ear. And I would hear it, and I would hear it off in the distance. It was quiet. And it was just like, yeah, you can do that all day. That's totally cool. I can sleep through that. So there is something to understanding how to protect yourself. The more you turn your light on, the more you become enlightened, the more things will come towards you and try to mess with that. It is part of the territory. And like it, don't like it, but it's part of the territory. Learning to deal with it, learning what it is, learning that you're always in love and light. It's just, I mean, there's nothing can hurt you. It's just temptations. It's thoughts. It's stuff. You'll drop something. Sometimes you'll be like, bastards. They'll take advantage of things, but they can't ultimately make you do anything. It's always your choice. So remember that. It's important. All right, let's do 72 because this is, I was talking about that. Yeah, we'll get into all this. This is a good one. 72 is awesome. We'll check it out. It's right here. It's the, of course, Law of One. Session 72. I think there's like 108 or 106 or something. I forget the exact number. So, guys, we're getting close. We're getting close. And next week we won't be doing it. It's Christmas Day. I'm not going to, out of respect to you guys, Merry Christmas for sure. And all said. Here is session 72, Law of One on the Fringe. Law of One, session 72, recorded October 14th, 1981. Ra. I am Ra. I greet you in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. We communicate now. Questioner, could you first give me an indication of the instrument's condition, please? Ra, I am Ra. This instrument's physical energy distortions are as previously stated. The vital energy level has become distorted from normal levels, somewhat downward, due to the distortion of this instrument's mind complex activity that it has been responsible for the, shall we say, difficulties in achieving the appropriate configuration for this contact. Questioner, was the banishing ritual that we performed of any effect in purifying the place of working and screening from influences that we do not wish? Ra, I am Ra. This is quite correct. Questioner, can you tell me what I can do to improve the effectiveness of this ritual? Ra, I am Ra. No. Questioner, can you tell me what caused the instrument to become in a condition towards unconsciousness during the last two meditations prior to this one, to such an extent that we discontinued them? Ra, I am Ra. We can. Questioner, would you please tell me that? Ra, the entity which greets this instrument from the Orion group first attempted to cause the mind-body-spirit complex, which you may call spirit, to leave the physical complex of yellow ray in the deluded belief that it was preparing for the Ra contact. You are familiar with this tactic and its consequences. The instrument, with no pause, upon feeling this greeting, called for the grounding within the physical complex by requesting that the hand be held. Thus, the greatest aim of the Orion entity was not achieved. However, it discovered that those present were not capable of distinguishing between unconsciousness with the mind-body-spirit intact and the trance state in which the mind-body-spirit complex is not present. Therefore, it applied to the fullest extent the greeting which causes the dizziness and, in meditation, without protection, caused in this instrument simple unconsciousness, as in what you would call fainting or vertigo. The Orion entity consequently used this tactic to stop the Ra contact from having the opportunity to be accomplished. Questioner, the instrument has scheduled an operation on her hand next month. If a general anesthetic is used to create the unconscious state, will this or any other parameters of the operation allow for the inroads by the Orion entities? Ra, I am Ra. It is extremely improbable due to the necessity for the intention of the mind-body-spirit complex when departing the yellow ray physical complex to be serving the Creator in the most specific fashion. The attitude of one approaching such an experience as you describe would not be approaching the unconscious state with such an attitude. Questioner, we have here, I believe, a very important principle with respect to the law of one. You have stated that the attitude of the individual is of paramount importance for the Orion entity to be able to be effective. Would you please explain how this mechanism works with respect to the law of one, and why the attitude of the entity is of paramount importance, and why this allows for action by the Orion entity? Ra, I am Ra. The law of confusion or free will is utterly paramount in the workings of the infinite creation. That which is intended has as much intensity of attraction to the polar opposite as the intensity of the intention or desire. Thus, those whose desires are shallow or transitory experiences, only ephemeral configurations of what might be called the magical circumstance. There is a turning point, a fulcrum, which swings as a mind-body-spirit complex tunes its will to service. If this will and desire is for service to others, the corresponding polarity will be activated. In the circumstance of this group, there are three such wills acting as one with the instrument in the, shall we say, central position of fidelity to service. This is as it must be for the balance of the working and the continuance of the contact. Our vibratory complex is one-pointed in these workings also, and our will to serve is also of some degree of purity. This has created the attraction of the polar opposite which you experience. We may note that such a configuration of free will, one pointed in service to others, also has the potential for the alerting of the great mass of light strength. This positive light strength, however, operates also under free will and must be invoked. We could not speak to this and shall not guide you, for the nature of this contact is such that the purity of your free will must, above all things, be preserved. Thus, you would wend your way through experiences discovering those biases which may be helpful. Questioner, the negatively oriented entities who contact us and others on this planet are limited by the first distortion. They have obviously been limited by the banishing ritual just performed. Could you describe with respect to free will how they limit themselves in order to work within the first distortion, and how the banishing ritual itself works? Ra, I am Ra. This query has several portions. Firstly, those of negative polarity do not operate with respect to free will unless it is necessary. They call themselves and will infringe whenever they feel it possible. Secondly, they are limited by the great law of confusion in that, for the most part, they are unable to enter this planetary sphere of influence and are unable to use the windows of time-space distortion, only insofar as there is some calling to balance the positive calling. Once they are here, their desire is conquest. Thirdly, in the instance of this instrument's being removed permanently from this space-time, it is necessary to allow the instrument to leave its yellow-ray physical complex of its free will. Thus, trickery has been attempted. The use of the light forms being generated is such as to cause such entities to discover a wall through which they cannot pass. This is due to the energy complexes of the light beings and aspects of the one infinite creator invoked and evoked in the building of the wall of light. Questioner, everything that we experience with respect to this contact, our distortion towards knowledge in order to serve, the Orion entity's distortion towards the attempt to reduce the effectiveness of this service, all of this is a result of the first distortion, as I see it. In creating totally free atmosphere for the Creator to become more knowledgeable of itself through the interplay of its portions, one with respect to another. Is my view correct with respect to what I just said? Ra, I am Ra. Yes. Questioner, in the last session you mentioned that if the instrument used any of the increased vital energy that she experiences now for physical activity, she would pay a harsh toll. Could you tell me the nature of that harsh toll and why it would be experienced? Ra. I am Ra. The physical energy level is a measure of the amount of available energy of the body complex of mind-body-spirit complex. The vital energy measurement is one which expresses the amount of energy of being of the mind-body-spirit complex. This entity has great distortions in the direction of mind complex activity, spirit complex activity, and that great conduit to the Creator, the will. Therefore, this instrument's vital energy, even in the absence of any physical reserve measurable, is quite substantial. However, the use of this energy of will, mind, and spirit for the things of the physical complex causes a far greater distortion in the lessening of the vital energy than would the use of this energy for those things which are in the deepest desires and will of the mind-body-spirit complex. In this entity, these desires are for service to the Creator. This entity sees all service as service to the Creator, and this is why we have cautioned the support group and the instrument itself in this regard. All services are not equal in depth of distortion. The overuse of this vital energy is, to be literal, the rapid removal of life force. Questioner, you mentioned that the large amount of light is available. Could I, or this group, by proper ritual, use this for recharging the vital energy of the instrument? Ra. I am Ra. This is correct. However, we caution against any workings which raises up any personality. Rather, it is well to be fastidious in your workings. Questioner, could you explain what you mean by raises up any personality? Ra. I am Ra. Clues we may offer. Explanation is infringement. We can only ask that you realize that all are one. Questioner, we have included Shin in the banishing ritual Yadhe Vahe to make it Yadhe Shin Vadhe. Is this helpful? Ra. I am Ra. This is helpful, especially to the instrument whose distortions vibrate greatly in congruency with the sound vibration complex. Questioner, we will in the future have group meditations as our Sunday night meditations. I am concerned in protection for the instrument. If she is once more a channel in these, is there an optimum time or limiting amount of time for the banishing ritual to be effective? Or if we continually, daily purify the place of working that we use for the Sunday night meditation with the banishing ritual, would this carry over for long periods of time? Or must the ritual be done immediately prior to the meditations? Ra. I am Ra. Your former assumption is more nearly correct. Questioner, is there any danger in the Sunday night meditations, with the precautions we are taking, of the instrument being led away by the Orion entity? Ra. I am Ra. The opportunities for the Orion entity are completely dependent upon the instrument's condition of awareness and readiness. We would suggest that this instrument is still too much the neophyte to open itself to questions, since that is the format used by Ra. As the instrument grows in awareness, this precaution may become unnecessary. Questioner, is it possible to over-energize the instrument with sexual energy transfers? Ra. I am Ra. No. Questioner, why is there no protection at the floor or bottom of the banishing ritual, and should there be? Ra. I am Ra. This will be the last full query of this working. The development of the psychic greeting is possible only through the energy centers starting from a station which you might call within the violet ray, moving through the adept's energy centers and therefrom towards the target of opportunity. Depending upon the vibratory nature and purpose of greeting, be it positive or negative, the entity will be energized or blocked in the desired way. We of Ra approach this instrument in narrow band contact through violet ray. Others might pierce down through this ray to any energy center. We, for instance, make great use of this instrument's blue ray energy center as we are attempting to communicate our distortion understandings of the law of one. The entity of Orion pierces the same violet ray and moves to 2 places to attempt most of its non-physical opportunities. It activates the green ray energy center while further blocking indigo ray energy center. This combination causes confusion in the instrument and subsequent overactivity in unwise portions in the physical complex workings. It simply seeks out the distortions pre-incarnatively programmed and developed in incarnative state. The energies of life itself, being the one infinite creator, flow from the south pole of the body seen in its magnetic form. Thus, only the creator may, through the feet, enter the energy shell of the body to any effect. The effects of the adept are those from the upper directions, and thus the building of the wall of light is quite propitious. May we ask if there are any shorter queries at this time? Questioner: I would just ask if there is anything we can do to make the instrument more comfortable or improve the contact. I am Ra. This instrument has some increased distortions in the region of the neck. Some attention here might provide greater comfort. All is well, my friends. The forbearance and patience observed by Ra are commendable. Continue in this fastidiousness of purpose and care for the appropriate configurations for contact, and our continuance of contact will continue to be possible. This is acceptable to us. I am Ra. I leave you, my friends, glorying in the love and the light of the one infinite Creator. Go forth, then, rejoicing in the power and in the peace of the one infinite Creator. Adonai. Adonai, hell yeah, right on. Yes, so I've got a couple notes that I only have a couple, like 3 on this one. I got a couple questions so far. We'll see what you guys come up with. I mean, I feel like I talked about some of this in the big picture before going into it. Hopefully that didn't ruin it. Vital energy, all dimensions of your energy. This is like, so your vital energy is all your conduits, your will, your just that gumption, right? Like, I can do this, I got this, right? And versus I can't do this anymore. And that is really where the vital energy concept comes into play. And when you're getting to that point where I can't do it anymore, that means you need to take a nap, you need to take a rest, you need to take a vacation, you need to do whatever it is that you do that you are able to revitalize to some degree, because you are very low. And when that happens, that's when illness and disease, it's when a lot of things will take place and start to make your life more difficult. And so it's important to kind of it's important to be aware of the energy first off. And so when you notice that you're depleted, you're like, and that's really kind of one of the lessons that are taught in this Law of One to the group. And they seem like they're a little reluctant to really get that. But was like, you all got to kind of pay attention to what's happening here. And if the mojo's not there, then pull back, give extra love, do an attempt to energize her, whatever, it is, whatever works. So your will also, by the way, is extraordinarily important. And that's that where there's a will, there's a way. That's friggin' true. Will is your laser beams. Like what I will do. I will do this is like, I'm willing it to happen. That's extraordinarily powerful. That part of you. So keep that in mind. Because again, your mind, your spirit is all part of that. But that will that kind of has to get that, get that body to go along with you. It's powerful. Protections they talked about. I just think it's, again, just to mention, like, you might have to have your own versions in whatever you believe. Your belief structure is going to work best for you. My belief structures are going to work best for me. So my attempt might not be the best attempt for you. Maybe it's something, if you're having some sort of issue and your attempts aren't working, you want to try something different. There you go. But yeah, a lot of people have their own thing and it's working. If you have the opportunity when you are tempted by Satan, or you have some sort of weird experience, then you get to try some stuff out and it's kind of cool, right? Like it sucks a little bit, but it's like, it's never like walking through the valley of the shadow of death kind of sucks. Actually, it's not the greatest. It's not the best experience, but it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be a little chilling and uncomfortable. So yeah, some of you guys might get to experience that. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun that way. And then The channeling concept, I just want to really cover this because I know there's a lot of people out there that channel, and you should channel. Most of us, all of us can. It's not, I mean, it's not hard to do. There's a lot of ways you can really get into it, and there's probably a gazillion videos out there that talk about it. I've even talked about it on my manifesting channel. But when you open yourself up to questions, which like I'm doing tonight, that's one of the places where you've got to be a little more cautious, because it's like an open mic night, and you're opening the microphone up to just anybody that's out there. And not everybody's got the same intentions of the big picture. You know what I mean? So there's always that possibility, and you got to always kind of keep that thing in mind. Otherwise, you might not be ready to do that open questions, because channeling is a cool thing. And I think you should do it certainly on small scale, record it. You can actually utilize those recordings for some of you guys that are good at channeling, and then actually play that on your show and then talk about it. It would be my recommendation. But doing it live is, you can, and it just creates a lot of unneeded problems or situations, I should say, complexities. There, it's called that. It's called that. Facets. Anyway, whatever. Sometimes it's fun to do it because being live is being live. There's no question about it. That said, that was kind of my stuff. Let's see. I've got a couple questions. Maggie asks, I hear of all these huge holes opening up everywhere in the world. Is it the tunnels being flooded out, or something else we are unaware of? The other beings, or what? I mean, there's a lot. I mean, there could be a whole bunch of things. There's mining, and then there's probably a whole lot of things going on. I think there's some transitions on the earth. Again, I don't know. All these holes, I don't think are all necessarily tied to one thing. I don't know exactly which holes you're talking about, Maggie, but it does make me chuckle. Yeah, it does. But yes, so I don't know. We'll see. There's definitely some earthquakes happening. I think there's a whole lot of things happening right now. The sun's very active. You were asking that question earlier. So the holes could even be somewhat tied to that, even to a degree. But I think we're going through a major transition on this planet. I think the poles are shifting. I think at some point, at some point it's going to shift. That'll be kind of fun. So we'll see. We'll see how that all plays out. Franco Spizman. Hell yeah. Franco Spizman. Word. How can I explain RA to a person that has a God of their understanding, but they struggle with organized religion? How do I explain? I mean, why do you feel like you need to? Honestly, why? I mean, if these people have a God of their understanding and they are struggling with organized religion, I would ask them questions and see what questions they come up with, and then sort of start to gear things from there. I wouldn't just jump on them with Ra or something like that. Maybe. So I don't know. Your question's kind of got some loaded junk in it. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't recommend doing that. That's a bad idea. That's what that sounds like. Trying to just force Ra on people is going to make you sound like a nut. Like if they're not ready for it, which very few. There's only 119 people in here, guys. I mean, my music show does a little bit better. Not much these days, but yeah, it's not always for everybody, you know. So that's the thing. I think there's a unique group of people that are showing. Well, I think there's a group of people here that are supposed to hold flashlights like me, frankly. And I just want you guys to understand, the more light you shine, the brighter you get, the more moths come, both good and bad. And there's a lot to be said about all that. And I think there's some things to learn along the way to get there. I think Law of One is some great material that covers that. We'll see. All those things said, any other notes I wrote that matter? Service to self-path versus service to others. I just wanted to point out that they don't believe in free will. Now, this is the big point with manifesting that I think is huge, is the free will concept means that I choose. But their version of reality is nobody has free will. And by the way, your what you think in your mind, what you imagine to be so, what you have huge power. And if somebody is mindless, they will do exactly as you ask, or if they are even possibly of a service to self-orientation, they'll probably be attracted to that concept, that nudge, and it will bring them into the proximity. But if you're somebody that's not like that, it'll like bounce off you kind of. So again, people need to understand like the armor of God concept. Like you have your own way to make sure you're fine through this. We are going through a tricky time. It's going to get weirdly bumpy over the next number of months. And most of you guys are like the serious flashlight holders like me. Like, is there? It's over there. I don't know what else we're going to be doing, but that's going to be it. And it's going to be different for every person, right? Some people want to know where the drinking fountain is. Some people are, where's the bathroom? Some people are like, what is this even about? You're going to have a mixture, but they're going to come to you. You'll be prepared. I love you guys. We're going to put the link in the chat here on the closeout for those of you that want to show up. I got a friend coming over here in a little bit, so we're going to be like 15, 20 minutes. We'll keep it on slightly short, but I don't care. If there's a bunch of you, maybe I can go 30 minutes. We'll see. I got a little bit of cushion baked into there, but I love you guys. For those of you that want to, ask any weird questions or come on in and aren't afraid of StreamYard because it asks you questions and it's like, oh, it wants access to your video and your audio, and so yeah, those things will happen, but it's okay. It's actually a pretty good product. I'm paranoid. You guys know me. All said. I love you guys. I appreciate you being here. The Law of One, session 71 and 72. And yeah, a lot of fun spending the time with you guys. We'll talk soon outside of that. Thank you guys. I love you. Bye-bye. On the Fringe.
Meditation is supposed to be fun. It's not something you do as a grim duty. The trouble with religion as we know it is that it is so mixed up with grim duties. We do it because it's good for you. It's a kind of self-punishment. Well, meditation, when correctly done, has nothing to do with all that. It's a kind of digging the present. It's a kind of grooving with the eternal now. And brings us into a state of peace where we can understand that the point of life, the place where it's at, is simply here and now.
This moment is the creation of the universe. It's starting now. If you look back and wonder whether there was a big bang a long time ago, all you'll see is vanishing traces. The Big Bang is happening now. This is when the world begins. You're doing it. Only you're not doing it by straining. A you deeper than the straining you is doing all this. The same you that is growing your hair and coloring your eyes and making your thumbprints and all that. You don't think about it. You don't strain muscles to do it. But that is what is creating the world. Here it comes. Now. So instead of thinking that the past is the reality which explains everything that happens now, let's look at now.